Hey everyone, welcome to our online safety trade show, uh, courtesy of Google and SoteHub. You're here because you need skills to be internet awesome to help our children be smart and confident explorers of the online world. So, basically, today our goal is going to be on the five core pillars, that is, being smart, being alert, being strong, being kind, and being brave. Bernadette Kiarie, today's trainer, is one of the greatest thinkers of our children. She's an educator for the past 20 years. She has a Bachelor of Education. She has done her Master's of Education in Educational Technology, and she's also recently completed her PhD in Educational Technology. And during COVID-19, Bernadette Kiarie has done many trainings, or rather several trainings on ICT, mainly on educating and parenting. She's a certified level 2 Google trainer, and she's also the Google Educators Group Leader, Nairobi region. So please join me in welcoming Madam Bernadette Kiarie. Bernadette, you can take us through. Karibu.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you have heard, my name is Bernadette Kiarie. What Marcella has forgotten to say is that I work in a wonderful institution that is called Kianda School. So I would like to welcome you to this presentation. Thank you for making time, and I hope you will be with us throughout. It's only 1 hour, and we really thank you for your time. Maybe if you're already in the house, you can introduce yourself in the chat area of this presentation. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell us where you're watching from, and we will be glad to have you. Now, in this session, I would like to speak to parents and teachers in equal measure, because parents are the first educators of their children, and after a number of years, they choose their collaborators, and their collaborators are usually educators. Parents choose the school that is going to continue what they have been teaching at home. Google is very passionate about families, and therefore this presentation. So let's get on with it. Keeping safe. The idea is to keep safe with the many online things that children are doing these days. So I would like to continue with my presentation and to introduce more or less what we are talking about today is safety on the internet, not only for the children, but for all members of a particular family. And what is safety online? That is the question. Now, we usually take physical safety in our homes very seriously. And I like to look at the internet as two worlds, a second world. We live in the physical world, yes, but there is another world online. And the same measures in terms of safety that we take in the physical world would actually and should be applied in an online environment. So there is this place that is called online or on the internet, and well, it's quite comparable to our world. Now, being online is part of our everyday life. And for purposes of this presentation, I will present some statistics, and all the statistics in this presentation come from UNICEF, a document that writes about Sub-Saharan Africa in terms of online engagement. And so this document tells us that 46 to 66% of the Southern Sahara Africa population are already online at one moment or the other. This document was written in 2017, and probably these figures have changed a bit, going on to the higher side, especially for children. Because of COVID-19, schools have closed, and many children have been engaged in educational terms online. And so they are engaging online more and more. So let's move on. Now, what do your children do online, really, if you're a parent? Would you know? Maybe you can tell us on the chat. What do children, really do online? You can just type on the chat and we see what you say. Okay. Now, of course, digital technology has really become part of children's life, and we cannot deny this. Now, as we answer this question, probably some of you are saying that they are playing games. That's a common thing. I can see some answers there already. Yeah, but people are generally happy to be here with us online. Thank you for that. So as a parent or as an educator, as I will refer to teachers in this presentation, I am sure you have been shocked at the things that children are capable of doing on the internet. Some of them very good things can happen there. And so some of the things that shock you may be not so good. Now, the question is, whether you're a teacher or a parent, do you feel in control of what the people that you're responsible for do on the internet? Yeah, that's a question. More or less, we can answer ourselves. So I was asking, what do children do online? They do gaming, they play a lot of games, they engage with their friends, they chat online with their peers, they are connecting with their peers. They watch YouTube a lot. They watch all manner of videos, usually short ones. The memes are very popular with the younger population. And the question still remains, do we feel safe? Do parents and teachers feel safe? Do they feel like they have a level of control? Maybe not. Now we have to realize that the influence that one has on children will definitely reduce as they grow up. But there is a lot that we adults who are responsible for children can actually do in the meantime as they grow up. Now, statistics once more. And these statistics, as I have said, are from UNICEF, a document written by UNICEF. It's on their website. And it says that 64% of children are usually chatting online. 52% they watch videos, and 53% play online games against friends and sometimes strangers. And we will talk about the issue of strangers later on in this presentation. Now, children need to understand that the same values that we have in the physical world will be the same when they go online on the internet. And I think once they understand, if they understand that you cannot leave them outside unattended in the middle of the night in the physical world, and you translate that same concept to the internet, then I think they will have understood the essence of adults trying to protect them. Actually, in my opinion, children have a right to be protected, especially when they are online. And that is the gist of our talk today. Now, naturally, as I have said, they will seek autonomy as they grow older. And Google allows them actually to run their own account from the age of 13 upwards. This autonomy is very good for growth because you can imagine if all of us still dependent on our parents. It's not possible because even some of us, the parents have already gone. And so gaining autonomy with time is quite important. And therefore, as a parent, as an educator, you can protect children online, but at the same time, go on giving that allowance so that eventually they acquire the values that you'd like them to have, and you give them their independence, and they will be able to run themselves more or less on the internet. So we want to protect them because we love them dearly, and it is the correct thing to do. Now, let us go on and ask ourselves, what is the biggest concerns you face in keeping your children safe online? The biggest concern you have. Yeah? Is it too much screen time? I don't know. Is it the content that they may come across on the internet? It is usually quite an individual, task. Everybody has their worry from one parent to the next. Now, you're not alone. The point is, all parents world over are worried. And that is why Google runs such sessions to be able to, give parents ideas on how they can use Google products to protect children online. So let's see what some parents say. Some parents say parents need to be more involved and engaged and educated. And hopefully after this session, you will be educated and you will find time to engage with your children so that you can protect them, especially children below the age of 13. Another parent says, my children are more tech savvy than I. Usually that is not a very good excuse when you're trying to, nurture children. Get savvy also. There is nothing that is very hard to do on the internet, and they can teach you as well. Someone else says, safety is paramount. I am concerned with what they get up to when I am not monitoring them. Yeah? It will reach a level where you cannot monitor them. So the point is, monitor when you can, but give them autonomy when that time is due and they have acquired every possible value that you would have loved them to acquire. Another one says, this is the era of technology. Kids don't play outside anymore. It is very true, and something can be done about it. Another one says, people can pretend to be anyone online. True, and we will talk about that. Another one says, I don't want them stumbling across things that they should not be, all over the place in the internet. Because when children go online, it's like children walking out of your house. And when they're out of your house, there are very many places they could get into. There are many doors they could walk into. And it is the same on the internet. They can walk into a particular door and get shocked at what they find there. They could walk into another door and find very nice things. All those are possibilities. And therefore, the whole idea that people are actually worried about what they get. Now, more statistics. Tech is also good. Technology is good for everybody, even the children. Now, the same document that I'm referring to says that 76% of children use the internet for homework and research, and that is a good thing. 45% do researched work and explore study opportunities on the internet, and that is good. 33% have actually created their own content and uploaded, and some children are earning money from content that they have uploaded, and there is nothing wrong with that. They can go on to do that. So technology can actually be used for the good. And these statistics were collected from the ages between 9 and 17 in the year 2017. So again, most likely those figures have gone up, because of the current situations that we are living in. Now, as parents and as educators, sometimes we can forget the positive side of the internet and go on condemning and, more or less asking children to get offline. But they can go online for very good purposes, for very good opportunities. They can go online to study. So the thing is to balance, There is a lot of good in there, but we have to balance this online world with the physical world, because that is the best for the children for now. Now, let's move on. At the end of this session, hopefully, I will have looked at how we can set digital ground rules for our families, how we can discover and manage family-friendly content, and how we can protect our families online in terms of privacy and security. Now, let's move on to setting digital ground rules. Now, what kind of ground rules do you currently have for your family online? Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever sat down as a family to discuss how people should behave online? That's a pretty interesting question, because for some of us, internet found us, we found it, and we have moved on, and we have never really discussed. It has never occurred that we really need to discuss. Yeah? So, do we discuss? That is the question. Now, some options for digital ground rules. It would be good to establish boundaries around screen time. And as I said at the beginning, I'm sure some people had not yet joined, the truth is that children will go online. The truth is parents are the first educators and teachers are their collaborators. So both parents and teachers can actually enforce this idea of screen time, especially for very young children, especially the below 13 years. I keep saying below 13 years because there is very good reason, because once they establish their value system at that age, they're likely to continue. Once they establish their discipline, it is likely to continue into adult life. But if it is not established, it will be very difficult. It will be an uphill task. Now, the second option we have is creating family rules about what we share. Have you ever sat down with your family to see what it is that people share online when they go online? Probably not for many of us. The third option, you establish family values online, yeah? To say that this family does this and that online, or this family does not do this or the other online. Now, screen time. Of course, screen time is a big topic, especially today when children actually learn online. What can we do about it? You can discuss, especially with the children involved, about balancing screen time, because it has positive impact and it also has some negative impact. For example, we have just said they can complete their homework and they can connect with their friends and family, and that is not bad. But on the other hand, especially in the evenings, it is good to reduce it because it has an effect on sleep. The screen cheats the brain that one is still awake, or it's daytime, yeah? Cheats the brain that it's not time to sleep yet. And so it has an impact of interfering with sleep. Now, another negative impact is spending less time with others outdoors, or rather becoming antisocial. And this is not good for any human being. We are all social beings, and sometimes these issues of depression and other effects actually may be coming as a negative impact of screen time, yeah? That is just too much, it's in excess. Everything can be in excess, of course, except the virtue of charity. Now, I would like to introduce a Google app that was developed around March, and it is called Family Link. Family Link is a very simple app that will work on your phone, on your computer, on any device. And if your children have devices that they use on their own, it can also be installed there. Now, if you install it earlier on, when children are much younger, they're likely to just operate within it. But as they grow up and you lose autonomy, they gain their autonomy and you lose your authority over what really happens, it may be uninstalled, but it is not a bad idea to explore it and maybe talk about it as a family and see how it can help you. Give ideas to the teachers of your children who are your collaborators so that they can talk about it and reinforce the good side of it. Now, so we have said it's just a Google app. So if you go to the App Store and actually look it up, you will see it. Google Family Link for children and teens. And you can create an account. Usually, if you want to create an account for children under the age of 13, the account must be under your account as an adult. As a parent, it must be under your account. Of course, I don't expect the child's account to be under the teacher, except that when it comes to G Suite for education, the school will give email accounts to children, and those are controlled by the admin, and the admin makes sure, more or less, that they are used for education purposes only. So for children younger than 13, you create your account, and their account operates right there within your account. So you're able to monitor. But now this feature, the family link, is making it even better, that you have a level of control about what the child really engages in. So what you do is you create the child's account, make it operate under yours. When they hit 13, on their 13th birthday, Google will send you an email that they are due for their, to run their own account, and you can agree with that and release the account. Now, so you download the family link for children from App Store, and then you just follow the prompts. There is no mystery about it, yeah? Open the app, and then you let the child sign into the app. You can allow them to have their own password, no problem, so long as they will be able to remember it. And then to set it up, you will get prompts as the one in charge. You will get prompts when they sign in using their email and password. And you will also be prompted to download the family link for parents on their devices if they use their own devices that are separate from yours. And then as a parent, you will also be prompted to activate the family link manager. Once you do all those things, then you're set to go. You have family link, and these are a number of things, just to highlight a few things that you will be able to keep an eye on. Yeah, and this is very good for limiting the screen time. Number one, you will be able to set daily screen time limit. Yeah, you can set it to 2 hours and 15 minutes. You can add it, you can reduce it, depending on the other activities that you'd like this particular child to engage in. You can set device bedtime, yeah, that the device dies out when it is time to sleep. And that is very helpful. It means that you don't have to run in and more or less snatch it, yeah, which has a negative effect, because you will have discussed these things and you will set a bedtime together with your children, and you set it to switch off at a certain time, and they won't be disgruntled because they were part of the decision. You can set per app time limit, because actually it gives you statistics on the most used app, things like that, yeah? It has some level of, AI, artificial intelligence, that is able to analyze all the data for you, and it is available for you. It grants bonus screen time. It grants bonus screen time because it is not good sometimes to use screen time as a punishment all the time, to deny screen time when you want to give a punishment. It will not work very well. But when people have behaved well, their screen time can be extended by half an hour, and that will be positive. It will be a positive impact in the end. Okay. Now, you can also lock the child's device remotely, yeah? You don't have to have the device, to switch it off and hide it some faraway place, yeah? You can just switch it off remotely. And it's a wonderful tool for parents, especially below the age of 13, of children below the age of 13. Now, whether it's time, when it's time to go to play outside, when it's dinner time, when it's time, family time, the device can just be, remotely put off, yeah, instead of taking it away. And naturally, they start to get used to the rhythm. They start to develop positive values towards internet use. Now, how would you talk to your children about screen time? Yeah? How would you talk to them? The thing is, you just talk about how they should be able to balance between, social media and homework, for example, and they will understand. Now, this calls for parent engagement. Parent engagement. You cannot do these things when you're constantly away. It calls for parent engagement with the child. You have to be there in order to talk these things over and over, for you to make sense, to convince, and to move on. Now, what if your child wants to spend time online all the time? Yeah, what do you do about that? And how about keeping a positive attitude towards screen time? It is also possible. Maybe we can explore it a bit further. Now, when it comes to discussing with your family about screen time, there are 3 things that will matter. And the first one is you ask yourselves as a family, and the teachers can also reinforce this message in schools. Does technology prevent you from being present? Yeah? I don't know whether you have ever talked to someone who is online and they just go, They're not hearing you. They're not engaging with you. They're not present, in other words. And so, then that is something that is not right in the family. So, does technology ever prevent you from being present? We ask ourselves. And the other thing is that children learn from example. It doesn't matter how many times you say, if you're not doing it also, then something is going to be wrong. Something will not be right. So the best is to leave the example yourself also, so that when it calls for you being present, you're present and they can see that you're present. Then if you preach the same, it will be taken up. The second question that we really have to ask ourselves is, how does screen time affect my focus? Yeah? How does screen time affect the focus? And the thing is, are you able to concentrate on a task without picking your phone? Yeah? Even if it rings. Or are you able to concentrate on a task without engaging with social media? Yeah? Do you keep your phone away for some time? Do you take a break? When you need to focus on important matters, it is important that it is kept away. Important matters for children will be homework. So when they need to focus on homework, they will need to keep away the technology if it does not involve using the same technology. If they need to read a book, probably it's nice to focus. They learn from that. But as adults, as parents, are we giving a good example? Yeah, that is the question, because they will learn from what we do. And then to reflect on ways of controlling screen time. Every family is different. Every family will employ, different tools. But it is possible to reflect and come up with very feasible ideas on how you can control screen time. I want to move on to something else about sharing things online. Yeah? What do you share online? How is your digital footprint? Each one of us has a digital footprint, and the thing is that the internet never forgets. Sometimes even adults like ourselves forget, but the internet doesn't forget. Have you ever looked up your name? Yeah? Have you ever just looked up your name to check what comes up? That would be a pretty good idea, to just Google your name and see what really comes up. Okay, now, in families and for educators as collaborators of these families that have brought children to you, do we teach about their digital footprint? Yeah, if you're an educator, probably you can ask yourself, have I ever mentioned that in this world of technology in my lessons? Yeah, if you're a parent, have I ever talked to my children about this, the digital footprint? Yeah, it is very, very important. And what is digital footprint really? Everything that you share, everything that you put out on the internet is your digital footprint. Yeah, so we have to be careful what we are sharing. We can help minimize social comparison, especially for the young learners, and to tell them that everybody who shares one thing or the other, usually they don't share their sad moments, they don't share their awkward moments, they don't share the bad things that happen. People share only that which is good. And then it may make some people think that other people are living better lives because they are always sharing this or the other. But we should be able to minimize that social comparison that comes from the use of the internet in terms of sharing. And then it's very important for us adults to teach children about oversharing, oversharing. In other words, what do we share on the internet? Do you share everywhere you go? Do you take a photo every day and upload? Do you share where you're going for holidays, etc., etc.? That could be oversharing. So it's good to introspect and see, what do I really share? And then discuss responsibility when it comes to sharing, that it is good to be kind. It is good to share positive content online and not to participate in harassment of either other children or even adults, You'd be surprised. Some adults are also harassed on the internet. So we consider all those things and make the internet a better place. Family values. Some people will call it family values. Other people will say family virtues. It's all the same. Now, to establish family values online, it is very good to be clear about about how you expect them to act online. Spell that out. Be clear. Don't assume that they will discover at some point. No, they will not. It's good to say things out. Then talk about online harassment because it happens, and we will talk about bullying towards the end. Talk about the power of positive messages online because that is the right thing to do for ourselves as adults and for children. So we pass on the same values. Let me pause here to see whether there are any questions. I don't know whether the moderator can help me to see whether there are any questions. Okay, the one who wishes to share the presentation for reference, there will be a link for the whole session from beginning to end, so not to worry, the link will be provided. So as I wait for questions, I can move on a bit and then I will come back to the questions once they pop up. Okay, now, can we discover family-friendly content? Yes, we can. Because I have told you that the internet is like the world. In the world, we have very good people, but we also have very bad people. Now, in the world, we have very good things. You can look at that as the content. And we also have very bad things, So I really compare the online world to the physical world, as we go along. Now, can we discover family-friendly content? That is the question. Yes, we can. Now, what kind of content are the children exposed to online? They are exposed to everything because there is no special internet for the children. So there is the exposure to everything. It's like walking out of your house into town to Nairobi city. Their eyes will not be closed. So everything that happens, they will see. The internet is the same, more or less. They get exposed. It can be dangerous. And the danger lies in the fact that children are curious. They're very curious beings. And so if information on one topic or the other is not being given in proper doses, they will explore. So it's good to give all manner of information when children are due for it so that you reduce how dangerous it can be when it comes to the internet. But even with their curiosity, educators and parents can, teach them what to avoid, what to avoid on the internet. For example, the very spicy adverts, it's better not to touch. But if they are not told by any adult, it's better not to touch, they will not be able to resist. But if they have heard it from a parent or from a teacher, they will resist the idea of touching. Okay. Now, family-friendly content. Family Link, going back to this app called Family Link, actually does provide a very comprehensive set of features for finding and managing family-friendly content. So I will encourage you to explore it. And probably I will ask the moderator to put the content, the link there, if it is not already there. For, I think it is there, families.google.com, family link. Yeah, I would like you to explore that link. Now, what can it do? It can set content restrictions in Google Play through Family Link. Yeah, you can blacklist or whitelist specific websites that you either would like your child to be directed to if they are whitelisted, or you do not want it to load at all if you're blacklisting. You can set filters for web browsing. You can turn safe search on and off with Family Link, depending on what it is you're doing online. This can be for you, it can also be for the children, it can be for the entire family, because sometimes what we always call adult content could be bad for everybody. We need to consider that fact. Now, you can also set up parental controls directly on your browser. We have different browsers. I don't know what you use. Do you use Google Chrome? Because you can create accounts for supervised users on your device. It could be the laptop, it could be the phone, and everybody uses their account, yeah? And they just obey. Children have the tendency to obey. And if you're using Safari, they also have inbuilt restrictions settings for blocking this and that content that you'd like people not to be exposed to, yeah? What we call inappropriate content. If you're using Firefox 2, it has varying parental control settings and features that you can use. Okay. Now, if you're using Google search, yeah, you can block what would be explicit sites with safe search, yeah? Safe search helps to filter content, both for ourselves and for younger people. It can filter an explicit, this explicit content that we are saying is not suitable for everyone or doesn't match up with your family values. Now, when safe search is on, it helps block both images, videos, and websites that you kind of list as undesirable. And also some that you don't list because you may not know all of them. But if you give it criteria, it will turn all those things off. How do you turn on safe search? You go to your search settings, yeah, search settings. And then under that, you do safe search filters, check or uncheck, depending on what it is you're doing. Normally it will be unchecked, so you're going there to check it, to put the tick, yeah? And then at the bottom, whenever you make changes on settings for any Google app, remember to always save, yeah, so that the changes that you have made are saved. Tools, other tools like YouTube. Children are on YouTube, you're watching different things. And you can control what happens there in a way using very simple things, even something like, you know, autoplay, turning it off so that once they watch what it is they went to watch there, the others are not just automatically playing. Yeah, there is a restricted mode, yeah, that you can use. You can turn restricted mode on in YouTube to help avoid videos that have particular content that you would not like them to be exposed to. We move on. Now there is also YouTube for kids, yeah, where parent-approved content is available. Now, Google is very, very keen on children's content, and so they develop content specifically with children in mind, and their ages, the appropriate ages also. There, in YouTube Kids, you can also set time limits. You can block or flag any inappropriate content. You can review what the children have been watching. Yeah, and sometimes you can even select a collection. You can select what they are going to be watching from. And so you just Google youtube.com /kids and you are there. So the purpose is to give you a lot of information so that you explore on your own and see how you can keep them protected. There is another app that can be useful for educators, especially in the grade school, that is called Read Along. Read Along. It is a speech-based reading app that is designed to help learners read anytime, anywhere. And it gets very interesting. If you check it up right now, it will tell you that it is still under development. You know, it's like Google Meet. It's not very old, and so it's under development. But already people are using it, and it has wonderful results. The children hear what they are reading in their own voice, and it encourages, you know, reading out aloud. It can be a very engaging tool, an engaging way to have the children learn how to read. They get a reading buddy, yeah? And therefore, they don't need to engage with a stranger who will pretend to be helping them to read or helping them with homework. It has happened in our context not too long ago. Now, once the app is downloaded, it can work completely offline. So once you have that app and the child is using it, you don't have to be worried that you are leaving them online, for example. It just runs offline. So it can be a very useful tool for teachers, especially in grade school, when children are learning how to read and read properly. Now, how does it work? It's expressive, it's animated, it's a personal tutor to help the child every step of the way. It has a library, many stories, depending on what the child would like to engage in. And it rewards with stars and badges, and that is motivating. To develop reading skills with Read Along, it's magical, yeah, because you read in your own voice. I think that's where the magic is, especially for children. They hear themselves. Okay, we continue. Now, let's move on to another topic altogether and see how we protect our family from negative content. Maybe you can put it in the chat also, and also a question if you have one on this particular interesting conversation. Now, what might you find online? Like I have said, it's like the world, it's like the physical world, and so you can find anything, yeah? And the whole idea is to keep some ideas in mind. And the first one is to start a conversation, yeah? Start a conversation with young people and preempt what they might find there without creating curiosity that will make them go check it out. Sometimes as parents, as teachers, sometimes we spark a curiosity because we don't answer the question we have been asked in full. So when you start a conversation, be ready to go all the way, answer all the questions to the best of your ability, so that then they are satisfied. And even when they go to check, they will find the information is the same. In other words, better not to lie, even when children are very young. Start a conversation. And then teach this thing of thinking before clicking. People have to think before they click. Teach them to ignore pop-ups because they are dangerous. And the pop-ups, depending on what pop-ups you really keep clicking on, the machine intelligence will start giving you adverts to that effect. So it's good to teach children to know what kind of pop-up they can click and which one they cannot. Yeah, generally, majority of the times they are not very desirable. So to teach to think before they click, and then supervise if you can. Yeah, supervise if you can. Ideally, for people the age of 13 and below, they should be supervised. The minimum that a parent can do is actually to be in the same room. Yeah, to be in the same room. Once more, I pause for questions. Moderator, if there are any questions, you can just pop them up on the screen. I think I am ready for that. Okay. I will assume there are none because our time is also running out. And look at protecting family's security and privacy. Just to ask, what is the most popular social media platform for kids? Yeah, do you know the one that the children that you interact with are using? Most likely you do. Now, UNICEF did another research and found that children have become highly accessible and unprotected because of social media. Now, as an adult, what can I do about that? What can you do about that? When you're thinking about your own children and other people's children that you deal with. Number one is to sensitize them so that when they see something and it is not the right thing, they know it. They know that it is not the right thing. So sensitization. Children as young as this one on this picture here can actually be abused online. And like I said at the beginning, every child has the right to be protected. Protecting your family's security. Yeah? Stranger, from the stranger. That stranger. In the physical world, we tell them not to talk to strangers. Yeah? The same should apply in the internet. Identity fraud. Children's identity have been stolen, yeah, and misused. Cyberbullying. It's a big thing, and children are suffering. What do we do? How do we protect them? So let's start with the stranger danger, with this concept called online grooming. Online grooming. What is online grooming? Do you know what online grooming is? Would you like to check it up? Okay. So, online grooming has to do with some people on the internet with malicious intent going online and pretending to be younger people, to be the children's age, and taking advantage of them, especially sexually. They pretend to be their peers. But in this pretending, they also tell them not to tell anyone. And therefore, groomers may specifically warn the children. And so it gets very difficult for a parent or a teacher to know about it because probably they have been threatened already on the internet. Now, children don't realize that they are being groomed at all. They don't realize. But we can do a lot ourselves. We can educate them, yeah? And tell them that it's a practice that is there and has been perfected by some people on the internet, some not so good people on the internet. And for them to realize that this stranger is not up to any good, for them to realize that they actually have to speak about it with someone. It could be the teacher, it could be the parent, but if you're an engaged parent, they will come to you. They will definitely come to you. On the other hand, it's also good to realize that this online grooming is not necessarily always done by strangers, yeah? Sometimes it is people who are very close to the family. And so also the element of, being careful and talking, during family meetings about all manner of things that could go wrong. There are some things that you really have to look out for. One of them is being a little bit secretive when they are talking online. Another one is using some language that you wouldn't expect them to know all of a sudden. It means someone else is teaching. And switching screens when you come nearer. That is also another thing to look out for. Okay. Now, how do you speak to them about online grooming? Yeah, how do you start that conversation? Because sometimes it's a difficult one. Yeah, you can start from real life stories. In our context in Kenya, we have a real life story about grooming that was all over in the news. You can start from that point of view and then have them say what they think about it. Have them tell you their experiences. And when they start talking about how their friend is experiencing this or the other, listen and listen carefully, because many a times there is no friend. They are talking about themselves. And so it's very, very important for us to listen. Okay. There is a risk. There is a real risk of sharing and oversharing information. And this grooming comes as a result of something that the child shared, yeah? And this stranger picked on it and they are riding on it in order to groom the children. Of course, grooming here has a totally different connotation, yeah? They are taking advantage of them generally. Set the rules, yeah? I keep going back to that, yeah? There is an excess in what they should share. And there is also a level of excess of what they can keep away from their parents. Tell them how they can talk about things with you. And if they are uncomfortable, give them the leeway of talking about the same things with the teacher, because you have chosen the teacher as your collaborator in educating the child. Okay. So it's very, very good to talk about the risks, yeah, just pointing out, to agree on the rules, and to stay engaged as a parent. Privacy and identity fraud. Children identity can be stolen. Not so long ago, there was a story of a child who was due to go to college and they needed to take a loan, but the credit bureau said that they had overborrowed and they were not paying back their loans. And for sure, the child had not done anything like that, but the identity had been stolen and misused. And it was very difficult to get out of that circumstance. Now, what to look out for in terms of identity and stolen identity? If a child gets a bill, for example, that raises an alarm. If they get emails from organizations that they don't recognize about meetings and stuff like that, that should ring a bell. If they receive letters regarding, tax payment, yeah, and government benefits, that should ring a bell also. How should I protect my child from identity theft? 1, check their online privacy settings. Every other website requires us to set up an account. Do we really go to the settings of that account to see what privacy settings we can apply? Many a times we don't. So let's start to get there and also get there with the children. Check their device settings, the device they're using, the phone, the computer that they're using. They also have settings. Check and see and apply the appropriate settings. Find out what is already out there and then teach them to go incognito when they're using other people's devices or public devices, although that may have its counterproductive side also. Enable privacy settings across all the social media that they are in, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, name them, there are many. To enable settings on YouTube is not so hard, and every Google app has the settings, button. It looks like a little wheel. Go there, explore, especially privacy settings with your children, okay? So you can just go to YouTube right away after this session and actually check out your settings. Talk to the children about setting strong passwords, yeah? And a strong password has some characteristics. It should be unique. It should be long, maybe up to 12 characters, 8 to 12 characters. It should be memorable, because again, if they are setting it for the sake of setting it, they might just lose the entire account altogether. Use letters, numbers, and symbols. Mix them up. Avoid personal information when you're setting passwords. That is the first thing where one goes wrong, because this personal information might be all over on the internet. Okay, now let's talk a bit about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is quite something in our society. And this research that was done by UNICEF actually says that 47% of the children reported having been cyberbullied or having been harassed on the internet. Now, what do you think cyberbullying is? And how is it different from other forms of bullying? Yeah, how is it different? It's very different. And if we compare the two, face-to-face bullying usually will have a smaller audience. It's limited to those who are, with the person. The bully can actually be identified, and it's easier to get the person, and if there is a punishment, they are punished. On the other hand, cyberbullying is very fluid, yeah? The audience is vast because it can be shared and reshared and posted and reposted. Hurtful comments can be shared a number of times by the same person or other people. It offers a degree of anonymity, yeah, to the perpetrator, and that is very serious. And now even educational institutions are at a crossroads, wondering whether cyberbullying is punishable in school, yeah? That's a big question right now. Difficult to, look around and be able to punish. That's the whole idea. Now, what do we do then? Are you familiar with some of these terms that are now being used on the internet? Yeah. What is harassment, for example? This is just persistently sending offensive messages to an individual or a group on the internet. Outing, what they are calling outing now, is publicly sharing personal, embarrassing information in form of photos or videos, yeah, about other people, and that is very mean. Trolling, yeah, trolling is posting provocative, insulting messages, yeah, to different places, sensitive on a particular sensitive content. Then bans is sending out things and saying that it was just for fun, and many people do that on the internet, yet they hurt others. That is bullying. Roasting, there's roasting also. And this one is when they gang up on some media, on a particular individual, and they send offensive and abusive messages until this particular person they are targeting seems to crack. That is when they feel like they have achieved their objectives, the bullies. And the last one, griefing, that is abusing and angering other people through games, yeah? So there is bullying even in that gaming that they seem to enjoy so much. It is unfortunate, but if people are educated, we can all actually work together on the internet and make the internet not so bad a place. What do you look for? Yeah? When a child stops using their electronic device all of a sudden, there is danger. Most probably, bullying has taken place. When they are nervous or jumpy, when they start to use their devices, that is also another thing to pick. Yeah? When they are reluctant to go to school or take part in some social activities, that is also something to look out for. How do you talk to them about bullying? One, the do's. What do you do? You can find out why. You can find out why it's happening. It's possible, and they may talk. You can, slowly talk through to see exactly where it's coming from. Yeah, see whether the person being bullied is retaliating. All that will come out if you talk. Teach by example. Yeah, and then ask the child to learn from it and move on. It is not good to get upset, although the natural instinct is to protect the child, and therefore you get upset. Try and keep calm as you deal with the entire situation, but don't ignore it at the same time. Don't be so calm that it doesn't matter. Don't condone it at the same time. Like I have said, if a child is being bullied and they are retaliating, make them see that the two wrongs don't make a right. And then don't take away the device, because this might make them actually look for other devices to use. Our time is running out. I'm about to finish. What are some of the ways you would bring up bullying, yeah, of your children? Yeah, what are some of the ways? Just ask yourself, what can I do? Yeah. And I would like to more or less finish here. So I would like to give you some tips and resources. Explore Safety Google. And let's all strive to be internet awesome. And that is, we be smart, we be alert, we get strong, we be kind on the internet, and also brave. In other words, be an upstander in the internet. And someone else will also become an upstander. Somebody who doesn't encourage bullying. You speak against it. Yeah? And this information can be passed on to the children. Sometimes even as adults, we also bully each other, but we are not aware. But we can be very kind on the internet. Okay, some more resources for children and for adults, yeah, for parents, yeah, to get involved through family activities, to encourage children to learn about the internet in a fun way, because it is possible. And then to continue encouraging the digital well-being of the entire family. There is a whole guide, Digital Well-being Family Guide. You can go for it. Maybe the moderator can post these links to the chat area. And more tips for engaging with your child. Talk early, very early, as soon as they can understand what you're saying, talk. And talk often. Don't talk once, talk many times. Choose the right time, especially for teens. It's important to identify the right time to do the talking. Open up and also share if you have some experiences as an adult. And create a safe space. Create a safe space for everybody. More resources. Google Digital Wellbeing Guide, I think I've talked about it. YouTube for Kids, we have talked about it. Family Link, we have also talked about it. And Google Phishing Quiz, you can also take it. Maybe now I ask you, what is your takeaway? What is your key takeaway from this session? That would be interesting for me to see. Just leave it for me on the chat area. And for Google safety in Kenya, there are several organizations that are involved in that. Yeah, we have talked about Google safety, that is safety.google. There is the Child Online Protection Initiative, And this one is by CAK. And also there is a child line in Kenya that can be used for Google, for internet safety. So I would like to finish there. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming. I don't take it for granted. Over to you, Marcella. Okay, Marcella, are you there? Okay, so there is a feedback form. The feedback form link will also be put on the chat area by the moderator, so we can fill it in. Sorry, Marcella, you're not audible.